How do you deal with a steady relator? What do you say to them? How do you motivate them? Hi, my name is David Loshelder, and in this lesson I want to talk about the steady relator. If you've been following these lessons, we've been looking at the DISC assessment and taking apart what makes each person tick in terms of their abilities and their strengths and weaknesses. And so with steady relators, what I want to talk about is several factors that affect them in some way, and their abilities to be able to adjust to certain things, and for you to know if you are a steady relator, how do you deal with that and how do you adjust to your environment. So today I want to talk about 6 things that steady relators respond to. And if you are a manager or a supervisor or a director and you're dealing with people that have the steady relator profile, you'll know how to adjust your style and your communication style to be able to deal with them better and to motivate them and make their work life a lot better. The first thing I want to talk about is fear. Fear is the elixir for all of us. We all have some type of fear. We're all afraid of something. But when you're talking about a steady relator, one of the greatest fears is their fear of sudden change. So if you are a manager or work for a company that's in change or work for some type of department that's changing, you're going to find that the steady relator responds to that type of change probably with a lot of fear or some level of fear. So you want to remember that when you are working towards something that has some change involved, which everything changes, right? So you want to make sure that this person is able to express themselves in such a way so they're able to kind of communicate that so that to allay that fear. But if you are a steady relator, then you want to tap into that and say, okay, what's going on here? Why am I afraid? What's making me feel this way? And when you have that, then you'll kind of understand, it's like, oh yeah, things are changing. So maybe I need to kind of check in with that and see what's really going on. So you want to be able to find a way to deal with that. But it's really about change that creates the fear. So what's the second thing? Well, the second thing is irritation. What irritates a steady relator? Well, the number one thing that irritates them the most is the insensitivity to impatience. This is something that when the things are working quickly and someone is finding that they are not really understanding what's going on, if you have a boss who's pushing a certain agenda quickly, that will irritate a steady relator. They work a little slower, they work with people, they make decisions a little bit more carefully. So anytime you're pushing a steady relator, that's going to be an irritant. And that's something that it bothers them the most. What you want to be able to do is recognize that. And you might want to check in with them and get some ideas. Understand, as a manager, look, I know this is going to be, we're doing this quickly. This is probably going to, I don't know if this bothers you or not, but let's talk about this because this is something we need to do quickly. At least acknowledge it, because that's one thing. As a manager, you want to be able to be sensitive to what the feelings of the people that are working for you. But then if you are a steady relator and you're feeling that irritation, you want to check into that and say, what's really going on here? They're not patient enough with me to work through this. And so the ability to be able to at least recognize it and understand that patience is something that's important to them to be effective as a manager or a leader, then you really have to have a sense of that. But what really stresses them out? That's the number 3. Stress. We all have stress, and stress is in some level we're all stressed out about something. But the question is, how do you respond to stress? We all respond differently. Some people respond with exuberation, some people respond with more motivation. However that works. With a steady relator, the way they respond to it is they become submissive. Their behavior goes inward. And so when you see someone going inward like that and becoming very quiet, that's when you know something's up. And you probably have to know that this is someone who's probably under some stress. Something's changed. Let's talk about it. Let's figure this out. If you are a steady relator and you find yourself, agreeing, being a little irritated, being submissive, then you want to be able to kind of talk that through. But that sense of stress triggers the sense of submissiveness, and it's overly submissive. Like you have someone who's maybe saying yes to everything, and so which maybe they in some other scenario they would challenge it or they would question it. But if they become overly submissive, then you know something's up, and you want to definitely check in and see what's going on. On the other side of that, what is their sense of security? Well, their sense of security comes from friendships. So the deeper the friendships, the more meaningful the friendships, that has a sense of security. Because remember, they want people, they're people of harmony. They want everyone getting along together. They want the friendships in the group and people to work well together. So that makes sense. So that brings a sense of security for them. It makes them feel much more comfortable at their job, at their work site, and with the people with whom they work with. Where do they get their worth from? Their worth comes from the depth of work. They don't like to work on things in a superficial way, like to work on projects that have a depth of work that has meaning, that has the ability to be able to find themselves in a way that they can make a difference. But what about the workplace? That brings me to the workplace. Now, the workplace has a sense of functionality. So the function of their work is important for them because they want to make sure that the work that they do is functional. They're not the type of people that just do things just to do it. They want to make sure there's a reason behind it that has a functionality to it so they're able to get things done. When they're finished with it, they want to make sure they've done a good job. And they do quality work. So this is something that when you have someone in the workplace, you want to make sure their work is tied to something functional that makes sense to them. And if it is, that brings a sense of accomplishment to them so they're able to work much better, so they feel a lot better. So you can see, as you go through these, we all have different ways we respond to our environment, and we respond to things differently. And if you're a dominant style or influential style or steady style, and we'll get into the conscientious style, you're finding that this is something that people respond differently. So when they respond differently, then as a leader, you're able to respond and at least make an analysis, say, okay, what can I do to make this better for this person? And how could we be more productive that way? This ends the lesson on Steady Relators. Please move to the next lesson. Hi, my name is Dave Loshelder, and for the past 20 years, I work with managers, supervisors, directors, executive team members, and leaders like yourself to help them get better. What I want to share with you today is that education is changing. And if you want to learn, you have to learn in a faster and more efficient way. I've developed a number of courses that are short and easy to learn, 24/7. You can learn them from your phone, your tablet, or your computer. From my vast amounts of experience, my mentors taught me that learning is the key to success, and to have a formula is the way to do it. Do you want the competitive advantage? Do you want to be a great leader? Do you want to influence people? Learning and education is the way to do that. And the way you educate yourself today is different. You should check out some of my courses. The 14 Days to Leadership, the Winner's Workshop, 4 Ways to Influencing Anyone, Anywhere, and much, much more. These are some of the courses I've created for you. These courses are short, fun, exciting, and they just make sense. We're going to give you the confidence. We're going to give you the skills. We're going to give you the abilities to make a difference. Try our courses today.